Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, as the regular season is winding down, people are now starting looking at the stats, and of course the conversation is there. Who will be the 2025 American League MVP? Will it be Aaron Judge going for his third MVP? Or will it be Cal Raleigh, who's right now having a breakout season, the switch-hitting catcher for the Seattle Mariners? So the debate is on there. I'm going to kind of weigh in on the situation. Of course, I'm probably sure you see most experts saying it should go towards Aaron Judge, but of course, you never know. I mean, we've had some situations in the past where just because someone's a Yankee and, of course, reputation, they kind of give it to the other guy there. They kind of feel sorry for them. But I'll get into the whole thing, and we'll look at the numbers and kind of give you a convincing reason why really it should be Aaron Judge there, no matter what player's on there. Again, Judge's numbers right now, even though you can say he's almost not having the most type of Judgian season, still quite impressive, and again, makes his case where he should be the MVP. So we'll get into the whole thing. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast. We've got some, regular season left there, and of course, before you know, we'll be into the postseason there. So you want to catch my takes on things, and there's also the YouTube version of the show. Go to YouTube, search for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and subscribe to the channel there as well. So again, the debate is on. We got a few weeks left to the regular season. Of course, both teams are trying to position themselves for the postseason. But again, we got to get back to these individual players. Aaron Judge, in a way, it's funny enough, even though it seems like he's having somewhat of a down season in a way, the guy still right now has 48 home runs. Probably will crack 50. He's going to get nowhere to his 62 that he's set in 2022. But of course, the reason now with Cal Raleigh getting all the hoopla, of course, right now he's setting out 56 home runs, and possibly he might have an opportunity to even surpass the mark Judge set in 22 of 62 home runs. Now, as we get further toward the end of the regular season, the pressure's on. I don't think he'll get there, but he might at least crack 60, where that's such a wholesome number there, where maybe that's just enough in itself to get him in as the American League MVP, even though in a lot of other categories, they're being dominated by Judge. But that all being said, taking a step back for a moment, you got to remember, though, it's not only, obviously MVP, most valuable player to your team. You got to look at the team itself. Who else is on the roster? Where are they headed right now? Where they're positioned? Take the player or for each team, and where would they be? And that's kind of some of the determining factors you use. Is this a postseason team or not? I mean, let's say you could have someone in dead last place and they put up unbelievable numbers. That's all great, well and good. But if you're on a last place team, I think that doesn't really fare well for you. So what makes this argument kind of tough is that you have these both teams more or less in the same boat. Seattle has 85 wins. The Yankees have 86 wins. They're both hovering around. I know right now, just because of where the AL West is, Seattle's only there by one game, but it's not really convincingly. They could just as easily be in the wild card as the Yankees are right now. And the Yankees, just a couple of games, they could just be in the same spot. Maybe they could take over the American League East maybe within a couple of games there. So both teams are raced up. So that's kind of the good point there. But of course, you got to say you take away one player from one team, take away a player from another, where would they be? Well, we know with these Yankees, and it's been going on for a couple of years. I mean, it's just really hard to see the Yankees have much success without Aaron Judge. I mean, we saw it over the summer when he had to take a little time off with the right elbow strain, sat him down with it, and the Yankees really didn't fare well at all. I mean, no shocker there. Now, Cal Raleigh, obviously he played more games than Aaron Judge, so Aaron Judge has only had 144 games compared to Raleigh's 151. That's probably one of the main reasons Raleigh was nipping him a little bit over there in the home run category. But nevertheless, it's kind of debatable who you see, if you take Cal Raleigh off the Seattle, how bad or how good would they be versus, take Aaron Judge away from the New York Yankees. Again, we're not Seattle fans, maybe we're not looking at the team close enough, but, we've been here in New York, and we kind of see, Judge is pretty much the heartbeat around the whole thing. I know we're getting a bit of a resurgent season from Giancarlo Stanton. You're also getting some good stuff from Trent Grisham, who's probably having a career year. Bellinger, after a slow start, has really picked up, have a good year. Ben Rice is having a bit of a breakout year. Austin Wells, kind of up and down year, but again, more lately he's been better there. So you're getting a lot of good Yankees with a lot of good, putting together a lot of good season. But still, with all that being said, I think without Aaron Judge, this Yankee team is probably, especially with some of the pitching woes they've had, even though they've been better late with Fried there, they're probably maybe a third or fourth place team. Seattle, maybe you can make the case more or less that. They have some talent over there as well. Obviously, they made the trade deadline for Suarez there at third base. You got Randy Rosarina out there. You got Julio Rodriguez. So, they got a couple of young superstars too. So, even if they didn't have Cal Raleigh there still could be a pretty good team. They have some pretty good pitching as well. Debatable if their pitching is better than the Yankee pitching there. And again, you didn't really have Stanton for half the season. They only kind of came to halfway there. Imagine if imagine the first couple of months of the season without Aaron Judge, and you was relying on Bellinger. When he was kind of scuffling a little bit early on, remember the food poisoning thing, having some back issues there. Wells got off to a good start of the season, but he slowed down there. But again, you take Aaron Judge out of this Yankee lineup, especially the early part of the season there. I think the Yankees were being in really big trouble there. So again, how you compare that to Seattle, I don't know. But let's just go maybe just by the numbers itself, and then I think that in itself just kind of really puts the case to rest. So as mentioned before, Cal Raleigh has played a few more games than Aaron Judge, so he has 151 compared to 144. And again, it's mainly because Judge had to sit out for a while on the IL with that strained elbow, and that probably hurts him a little bit in the MVP talk. Because one thing about Aaron Judge, not saying he wins the Gold Glove every year, but he plays a great defense. You can always look at Aaron Judge as a great defender to sort of break that tie. Well, now can't really use that case as much because, again, really pretty much since mid to late August, he's been relegated a lot of DH time there, so that hurts him a little bit. Where Cal Raleigh, he's a catcher. It's a very grueling position, and so you figure these guys get beat up a lot, and yet this guy is still putting an incredible season together. Where right now he has 56 home runs, so kind of have to take that into account. This guy's getting beat up as catcher there behind the plate and still producing quite well and doing it as a switch hitter, which is up there is quite impressive with the likes of Eddie Murray and Mickey Mantle and Mark Teixeira, and of course the Yankees have had their great number of switch hitters over the years like Bernie Williams and so forth. So this guy's doing it in the grueling position to catch it, so you kind of have to take that to account as well. And maybe if you want to look at defense in terms of playing the field, maybe you give then Cal Raleigh a bit of a nod there just because he's playing such a brutal position. But those, again, arguments on different sides here. But let's just look at the straight numbers. As for batting average, Judge is batting .327. Cal Raleigh only .246. So Raleigh is hitting under .250. And I know you can still be a most valuable player for your team, but Judge is hitting about like 70 points higher than the other guy. So it'll be hard to give it to the other guy when Judge is hitting, his batting average is 70 points higher, hitting at .327 right now. Now, you want to look at this total of hits. Judge right now also leads that number. Judge right now with 168 hits compared to Raleigh's 139. So Judge right now has about 20 more hits. Of course, the home run category, that's one where you would give the nod to Cal. He has 56 home runs compared to Judge's 48. And again, I mentioned before, a lot of that probably had to do with he was out on the IL for a while. Plus, even when he was back for a while, it really took him a while to get his swing. It wasn't really almost since that 9/11 game when he got a visit from the president, so he started to turn it on again. So, even when he was healthy in there, he still wasn't fully Aaron Judge yet. But even all that's being said, if you say 48 home runs is a down year for you, that's almost a compliment. But nevertheless, let's get past that one. You want to look at walks? Judge walked more, 116 walks compared to Raleigh's 94. Now, again, a lot of Aaron Judge's walks are intentional. We all know that. We've seen that. If you got 2 outs and you're facing Judge, you know what? Put him on first base and go after the next guy, and that happens a lot to Judge. But Judge leading almost by 20 walks over Raleigh. RBIs. Now you have to give the nod there to Raleigh. Raleigh with 118 RBIs compared to Judge's 104. And a lot has to do with that, Raleigh's played more games and has hit more home runs. Obviously, when his guy's on base and hit more home runs, you're going to get more RBIs there. So now this is the fact that he has about 14 more RBIs. Is that, means he's more valuable of a player? Possibly. That's something they could look at. Then, of course, when you get into the stat geeks and all the analytics stuff, this is where Judge really takes the conversation away. And again, if they want to look at this, then it's really a slam dunk case for Aaron Judge. So we look at the on-base percentage, the OBP. Judge right now at .452 versus Raleigh's .360. So it's basically for Aaron Judge, 50% of the time he gets on base. So for every 2 plate appearances, whether he gets walked or gets a hit, he's pretty much, for one of those 2 plate appearances, he's going to get on base there. Again, Raleigh at .360. So Judge is 100 points higher for on-base percentage. Slugging, Judge right now at .673 versus Raleigh's .583. So Judge right now slugging 90 points higher. So that's 90 points higher. And last but not least, OPS on base plus slugging. Judge with his using judging numbers 1.124 versus Raleigh's .944. So Raleigh's under 1, Judge is over 1 by, let's say, about almost 200 points there. So if you want to look at some of those categories, again, the nerd stats, the statistics love there. On base percentage, Judge is about 100 points higher. Slugging, Judge is about 90 to 100 points higher. And on base plus slugging, Judge is about 200 points higher there. So if you want to look at those numbers, and again, most glaringly is the batting average. Judge is batting .327 versus Raleigh's .246. That in itself, and this numbers overall there. So that all being said, I think it should go to Aaron Judge. Now, will I be shocked if it goes to Cal Raleigh? No, because he's having a really good season. And again, as mentioned before, you're doing this as a catcher. Now, what hurts him is the low batting average. That does hurt him a little bit there. So they may hold that against him. But other than that, if you want to look at both teams, Record-wise, they're both the same. They're both the same, in terms of right now. This happens, Mariners are in first place in the AL West, but only by a game, and they could lose that a little bit. So, they're kind of both the same thing. They're a team that could be a division winner, probably might end up a wild card. We're not sure yet, but they're in the mix there. But so if you take Judge away from the Yankees versus Raleigh away from the Seattle, where would both organizations be? Now, again, I would give it right now, if I had to guess, 70% the MVP should go to Aaron Judge. But I could see a situation where they say, hey, look, the Yankees, they got superstars, and they got Cody Bellinger and Giancarlo Stanton, and you're getting, like I said, Brent Rice having a good season, Trent Grisham having a career season, and they got all the money and the pitching and Max Fried and all this and stuff, and the poor Seattle Mariners, they're fighting hard. So I could see a case there where they could give it to Cal Riley just because, and they think, well, Aaron Judge got two already, and he's popular enough. He's got his big $400 million contract or whatever, 360. Let's give it to someone else. So I could see that happening, but maybe I'd put that right now at 30%. I think if Raleigh had a better batting average, that was close to 300, that's one thing. But you got to reward a good batting average because we see the way baseball is these days. Almost like no one hits 300 anymore, and this guy's hitting 327. And for a good chunk of the season, the guy was at 400. Now, we knew that wasn't going to last forever, but still, Judge, overall having an impressive season, even though, again, even like kind of obviously with the right elbow problem, and just the second half, at least up to this point, didn't seem like it was quite judging, but even on a quote-unquote bit of a downish year for him, still putting up quite incredible numbers, so should be in the postseason some way, somehow. Some miracle somehow if they could recoup themselves and get maybe snatch the AL East title away from Toronto with the last, kind of with the last couple of games of the season there, then obviously you definitely got to put him in as the MVP because I'm sure, whatever outbursts the Yankees go on, he'll be part of that there. So those are the cold numbers. Wanted to give it to you. Don't be shocked, though, if they give it to Raleigh. We remember it happened, 2006 with Derek Jeter, which I thought Derek Jeter should have gotten the MVP that season. But probably, of all the seasons, I've probably watched so many games that year with Derek Jeter. Not only the numbers, but just so many big hits, so many clutch hits he had that year. But, of course, they gave it to Justin Morneau because, well, he's from Minnesota. And, look, he had a impressive season. He had like 30-plus home runs or 130 RBIs. But Derek Jeter really had a really good season there and really deserved it. But, again, because he's the Yankees, like, well, the Yankees have the championships and all this money and all this fanfare. But let's just give it to Justin Morneau. And that's kind of what happened in 2006. So could that happen again 20 years later to Aaron Judge versus Cal Raleigh? Yeah, but I think it's probably Jeter, like, obviously he wasn't a home run guy, he wasn't an RBI guy. So, yeah, there were some categories that obviously Morneau had to clear heads up, though. But overall, if you watch the games, Derek Jeter should have been the MVP in 2006. I mean, he had a really good season. It was just a shame. That was overall just up and down his best season probably professionally, but unfortunately wasn't good enough and just maybe didn't hit the right statistics for whoever back then. So it went to Justin Morneau. So Judge possibly could lose this one, we'll see, just for the fact that he wasn't in the field all the time. He's been DHing a little bit, and again, he's a little bit down, in certain categories. And Raleigh's got the home run number, he's got the RBI numbers, so maybe they use that and put that puts him over Judge. I don't know, but if you want to look at the nerdy numbers, the OPS and the slugging percentage and on baseball slugging stuff, it should go to Judge. So I think 70% it goes to Judge, but don't be shocked it doesn't. So that's my take. We got about 9-10 games left in this season there, so let's see what Aaron Judge does with this. Maybe you get a little bit. I think if he cracks over 50 home runs, and let's say Raleigh even ends up at like 59, 60. I mean, I don't know if 10 home runs make a difference. I mean, if he ends up at 50 home runs, I think that should really seal for Aaron Judge. But again, we'll see how all that goes. So that's the episode. We'll cross our fingers for the captain, Aaron Judge, and we'll see how it goes. Catch you next time.